Hi, everybody. I am here in Washington, D.C. at the White House. And I was invited, my husband and I, to attend the Easter brunch. And so we have had just the most beautiful time. President Trump was there and spoke to us. And that was awesome. And everybody prayed over him. And we just had some just beautiful connections and a lovely brunch. And so I decided to come to you guys from the White House today, because how often does this happen? And so we have got an incredible broadcast for you today. You know, we're seeing a lot going on with Iran, but my dad was really, really focused on Russia. So I want you guys to check this out, that he prophesied, and it's all tying together.
It's very important that you understand that Russia is more of a problem than we realize. Iran is more than a problem than we realize, and the connection of those two.
Fox News confirmed Iran struck the U.S. Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia on Friday with ballistic missiles and drones, injuring at least 12 U.S. service members. 2 of the Americans are in serious condition, U.S. officials said. At least one KC-135 air refueling plane was hit and reportedly on fire as a result of the strike. But what got people's attention was a valuable U.S. Air Force E-3 Sentry AWACS command and control plane worth about $500 million. One of just a dozen or so in the U.S. inventory. It was also hit in a direct strike on Friday. It is a valuable plane that is essentially a flying command center, giving U.S. forces a picture of the battlefield. The base, which is deep inside Saudi Arabia, points to Iran getting targeting assistance from the Russians. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky told Fox News' Matt Finn in a sit-down interview that Ukraine has intelligence showing Russian satellites photographing U.S. military facilities in the Middle East, including the U.S.-UK joint military facility on Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean that Iran targeted last week. On March 25th, the Russians took satellite pictures of the Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi. Zelensky wrote on X, 2 days later, a direct strike on U.S. assets parked on a tarmac in Saudi Arabia.
He said, Kim, tell my people to keep their eye on Russia, because there's a huge deception that is taking place.
In northern Israel today, the country's largest oil refinery engulfed in smoke. Iran is trying to punish Israel and the region with attacks on energy facilities and a stranglehold on the Strait of Hormuz, which White House spokesperson Caroline Leavitt said today Iran was beginning to release.
Netanyahu! Listen to me, Netanyahu! You are afraid of what is happening in Iran. Forget that for a minute. Look to other countries. For Russia has already made a decision.
Listen, you guys, this is not just about Iran. My dad prophesied about Russia, Iran, and a connection. And the interesting thing is when he prophesied about Iran, he saw a conflict happening and fights and antagonism. But he said, while those cats and dogs are fighting, America will prosper. And that is what we're beginning to see.
What we're watching right now is being framed as a Middle East conflict. Iran, Israel, the United States. But when you step back and look at the full picture, a different pattern begins to emerge. Yes, Iran is active. Yes, Israel is responding. Yes, the United States is engaged. But at the same time, oil prices are rising, global shipping lanes are under pressure, and Russia is benefiting. Russia's oil is flowing. Sanctions pressure has eased, and at the same time, Russia is actively using Iranian drone technology in its war against the Ukraine. So while Iran appears to be driving the conflict, we have to ask a deeper question. Who is actually benefiting from all of this? Because when you follow that trail, it leads somewhere very specific. And years ago, Kim Clement warned us to look exactly there. He said very clearly, Iran and Russia are not separate problems. They are connected. Let's watch this.
It's very important that you understand that Russia is more of a problem than we realize. Iran is more than a problem than we realize, and the connection of those two. This is not the news media. I barely watch the news. This is what was spoken by the Spirit of God, that there's an antichrist spirit arising. And we have to be very aware of what God is saying so we can have preservation, because the prophet's words preserve. You want to rely upon your intelligence and rely upon your strength? He said, I'm not impressed with the strength of men's legs. I'm not impressed with the strength of your war in your army. He said, because you're going to have to rely on me. Well, are the nations going to cry out to God? Well, certainly within the Senate that is coming up, and that which God is going to change very soon, there are going to be upright, godly men and women that are going to pray and seek God. Some of them even listening to me now, going to be a shock to the nation. How many of them are going to be standing with their arms raised and praying and calling to God, and God is going to hear their prayers. America is not lost, but we're in a very vulnerable position right now. The very fact that he said, I'm going to take Putin and pull his pants down, God speaks like that sometimes when he's trying to make a point that the man is impotent. In other words, he's doing things, and it seems like he has great power. But God also spoke about shoving his, or what did he say? Shoving his, smashing his hand down upon them, and how for a season there'd be trouble, and which we're seeing now. So keep following prophetic words so that you can have insight, and so that you don't allow fear to get in there, and realize God is working for us, but he's trying to show you, he connected the exquisite to terrorism. Not what he said they said it. In other words, they're so bright, they're so clever that you're not going to be able to catch them in the beginning. And that's why I'm prophesying this stuff.
Russia is more of a problem than we realize. Iran is more of a problem than we realize in the connection of those two. That's exactly what he said, and that's exactly what we are watching right now. This is not random. This is not coincidence. Iran is acting in the region, but Russia is gaining globally. Militarily, through shared technology. Economically, through oil. Strategically, through distraction. And what he said is critical. You wouldn't recognize it at first, but now we're beginning to see it. But then he said something even more concerning. Russia would not come as an obvious enemy. It would come as something that appears friendly. Watch this.
The other thing the Lord said to me today, very clearly, he said, Kim, tell my people to keep their eye on Russia, because there's a huge deception that is taking place and is yet to unveil, and where people will even embrace it. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I saw this hand coming out of Russia, and this hand being extended out to the Christian people and to the Jews as if it were a friend. It is not a friend. Russia is not a friend to the Jews and not a friend to the Christians. I'm not speaking about the people of Russia. I'm talking about the administration and the leaders. I saw deception coming out of Russia. I saw a hand coming out as if to shake. And then as the hand was shaken by purple robes and garments of religion, I saw the hand raised up and then smashing them on the neck.
A hand extended as if it were a friend, and he said people would embrace it. That is a very specific warning, because this is not just about war. This is about perception. This is about how something can look cooperative while something else is happening behind the scenes. And what's interesting is we are now seeing reports and analysis that reflect exactly that kind of positioning. Remembering how many years ago it was that Kim Clement saw and prophesied this. Let's take a look at this now.
Vladimir Putin could be the real winner of the war in Iran. President Trump's attack on Iran has caused an oil crisis. That's bad news for consumers, but good news for the world's third largest producer. Russia is now benefiting from higher prices and greater demand. Since the Iran war began, the amount of Russian oil sitting on tankers has decreased by 12 million barrels. Putin may also benefit from Iran's strike on the liquefied natural gas infrastructure in Qatar. It supplies nearly a fifth of the world's LNG and has now halted production. This means Russia will be able to profit more from its gas exports. All this will ease the pressure on the Kremlin's budget, which is in a deficit. The Iran war could also help Russia militarily by depleting America's supply of anti-ballistic and air defense missiles, leaving fewer for it to sell to Ukraine. However, the conflict in the Middle East has also showcased Ukraine's technological prowess.
Ми постійно працюємо з партнерами щодо нашої можливості додати захисту тим країнам, які зараз під ударами з Ірану.
Ukraine's small interceptors were built to hunt Russian-Iranian drones. This video shows a new autonomous maritime drone recently adapted to carry these interceptors. As Iranian drones cross the Persian Gulf to cause havoc, many Middle Eastern countries are turning to Ukraine for help.
Target destroyed.
Meanwhile, for Putin, Iran has been a useful ally in his confrontation with the West. They have traded intelligence and weapons. For example, Iran supplied Russia with Shahed drones. Russia adapted the weapon and now makes most of them at home, which means the war in Iran will not affect its ability to strike Ukrainian cities. And the war has also given Putin more clout on the world stage. He has offered to mediate between the United States and Iran.
I had a very good call with President Putin.
To the concern of Ukraine and its allies, this has reinforced President Trump's affinity with Putin.
We had a very good talk, and he wants to be very constructive.
The conflict in the Middle East distracts the world from Putin's war in Ukraine and boosts his economy. The longer it goes on, the more it could benefit the man in the Kremlin.
What you're seeing there is the outcome. As conflict in the Middle East increases, oil supply is disrupted, prices rise, global demands shift, and who benefits? Russia. Russia's oil revenues increase as prices climb. Countries that depended on Middle Eastern supply begin to look elsewhere, and Russia is positioned to fill that gap. And at the same time, global attention is pulled away from Ukraine. Pressure shifts, focus changes. So while Iran is actively engaged, Russia is gaining economically, strategically, and globally. And this is where it connects directly back to what Kim said, because this is not just about conflict, it's about positioning, it's about influence, and it's about outcomes that are not immediately obvious. Iran may be the one fighting, but Russia is the one benefiting. And that's what makes what he said next so important. Because he didn't just warn about the connection. He didn't just warn about deception. He said something even deeper. These decisions had already been made. Let's watch this next clip.
Netanyahu, listen to me, Netanyahu. You are afraid of what is happening in Iran. Forget that for a minute. Look to other countries. For Russia has already made a decision. This prophet was caught up and saw the table that they have stood at. This prophet has heard how this dog that is from a junkyard is about to be released and how he will bite viciously. But his attack shall not only be with Iran, but it shall come against Saudi Arabia. But the Lord says, do not worry, because while these cats and dogs are fighting, America shall begin to bloom. America shall begin to prosper. Before I do anything else, this drew it out of me. I'd been in all week. I've been carrying this, and I was carried above a table with Putin and 4 others. I saw them writing things which I am not permitted to speak now. Otherwise, I won't be alive next week. I am not permitted to speak this now, but there will come a point when I can share it with the right authorities, and I will do it. And I will do it as I go to Israel. That is my duty. That is what he called me to do.
Russia has already made a decision, not reacting, not adjusting, decided. And then he describes a table, leaders, agreements, things being written that could not be spoken. That tells us something. What we are watching right now was not sudden, it was set in motion. But then comes the promise. While these cats and dogs are fighting, America shall begin to bloom. Now that matters, because this is not a message of fear, it's a message of awareness and positioning. And that's something Kim had that was very special. Amos chapter 3 verse 7 says that God does nothing without first revealing it to his servants, the prophets. And that's what you're seeing today. It's exactly that. God is not leaving his people in the dark. He's speaking, he's revealing, and he's giving us understanding ahead of time. You're not watching this by accident. You're being positioned to see clearly in a time where so many are confused and unsure of what's really happening. And when you don't understand, when you do understand, you don't respond in fear. You don't react to headlines. You don't get overwhelmed by what you see. You respond in faith. You respond with clarity. And you respond with confidence in what God has already spoken. And that's why this matters. Because this ministry exists to continue bringing forward these prophetic words so that people like you can see, understand, and be prepared. And when you give, you are helping that voice continue to go out. You are helping others see what you are seeing right now. And I'm encouraging you to do that. Know that when you sow, when you give, and there's so many ways you can do that. You can text your offering. There's a red link below your player. You can click on that. When you do that, you're sowing into something that's eternal. You're sowing into something that God is using right now to shake and shift in the earth today, even though the mouthpiece that he used is now on the other side of time and in eternity. It's still something that we are responsible for as the watchmen on the walls to bring to people and to call out the truth. And so I'm encouraging you to give today. And now we're going to go to Donné, who's been in Washington, D.C. at the White House. Let's go to Donné now.
Okay, everybody. So we're coming to a close here, but I did film some behind the scenes footage to share with just our partners. So this is stuff we can't just put on social media, but I filmed some behind the scenes of my little adventure with my husband here at the White House today at the Easter brunch. And President Trump was there, and Franklin Graham was there, and Erica Kirk was there. And so I have some stuff to share with you of the footage I took that's behind the scenes, and you can only watch that if you partner with us. So our partners, go on over there, log in, and you'll be able to see the behind the scenes footage I got from today at the White House. And if you're not a partner, the information is on the screen right now. You can become one very easily, and it's worth it. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today. All of our partners, go over there and check out that behind the scenes footage. Hello, friends. I'm Donné Clement Petruska, and I am honored to invite you to something truly extraordinary, the Kim Clement Prophecy Vault. Now you can gain unprecedented access to my father's entire digitized video archive. Every prophetic moment, every powerful teaching, every anointed worship session is now available to you in the Prophecy Vault. Plus, I'm excited to share that my dad's special School of the Prophets teachings are included, offering you deep, transformative lessons on hearing God's voice and understanding his revelations. Your partnership is crucial. Not only will you gain access to these incredible resources, but you'll also help us continue the vital work of preserving, digitizing, and adding new Kim Clement material to the archives. I'm inviting you to step into the Kim Clement Prophecy Vault. Let's embark on this journey of revelation together, and I can't wait to see you inside. We have Andrew Sorcini from Beverly Hills Precious Metals with us today. Someone has a 401k. Can they take some of that and purchase gold as an investment for their future?
They can, and it's a great way to do it, because if you have an IRA, a government TSP account, a 401k from a company that you used to work at but don't work at anymore, or if you still work at the company and you're over 59 and a half, these can be rolled over into a precious metals IRA. And if you were to speak to your financial advisor about it, they'll tell you, oh, this is a taxable event. They'll tell you things like gold and silver are volatile. But really, the thing is, they don't want you to get into precious metals because it doesn't benefit them monetarily. I'm here to tell you that your accounts can be rolled into a precious metals IRA without it being a taxable event. You would own real gold and silver that is stored in a third-party depository that's insured in a lockbox with your name on it.
So if someone goes to bh-pm.com, is that the correct website? Okay, and that's going to be on the bottom of the screen. If they go there today, what do they need to do?
Okay, so there's an online form there, and the form, almost every page on the website has the online form. So you just fill in your first name, last name, email address, telephone number, say that Kim Clement sent you, or the House of Destiny. We'll know what you mean. And in the notes section, be as detailed as you can. Sometimes people put things in there like, I'm a complete novice. I really don't understand precious metals. I've been wanting to understand. I want to invest, but really I need more information first. Then put that in there. If you're someone that's been investing in gold and silver for years and really don't need a consultation, you just want to check prices, then put that in there.
Everybody watching, if you are interested in precious metals, this is where you want to go. Thanks again.
Thank you.